Hi, this is Dana, and I'll be talking in this video about divinely guided couples. Um, there's been lots of discussion about divine masculine, divine feminine, divinely guided couple, twin flame, of course, about karmics as well. Um, and I already touched upon this subject in other videos. What I A different dimension that I would like to emphasize today, it's about the purpose of the divinely guided couple, be it divine masculine and divine feminine, be it twin flame, and even the soulmates. They still have a spiritual purpose. All couples in 5D, they have a spiritual purpose. I said this before, the couple in 5D and everything that is divinely guided is 5D, okay? Has nothing to do with the 3D perception of how a couple should look. Nothing to do. You don't just get together, get married, make children, go to job from 9 to 5, go to gym, and then meet at home. You have a spiritual purpose. And many people forget this, or they just choose to not pay enough attention to the meaning and the consequences of this. um, Again, because you have a spiritual purpose, there are a lot of attacks meant to break you apart, specifically so you cannot achieve the spiritual purpose that you came here to achieve. So you have much bondages and parallel timelines activated on each of you individually, and on both of you coming together as a couple. So there's a lot of baggage, which you have to clean up and work through, so you can actually be able to come together as a couple, able to achieve your spiritual purpose for which you were foreseen as a divine couple, as a power couple. Okay. So the purpose is spiritual in nature, and you have to do much spiritual fighting until you come together in proper circumstances with proper gifts activated, so you can actually achieve your purpose together. Now, of course, you can come together before you achieve all of this, while you still have bondages, both together or each individually, or everything together, right? But then you're going to become karmic to one to another, because the bondages created on you are specifically meant for this purpose, to inflict wounds on each other, to betray each other, to um, so you can, of course, you might cross paths before, but to me, the responsibility of being part of a divine couple is, first of all, look very closely at you, at him or her, make an evaluation. Are you in the position to actually come together and carry on your purpose? Or it might be, and I believe this is the case for this phase of ascension, it might be that you coming together at the wrong time, when you do not you did not break the bondages on your individually. uh, it will so coming together in such circumstances without having the gifts and the knowledge on how to carry on the fight, uh, to keep your couple together and achieve your purpose. So coming together in such circumstances, to me, it's an irresponsible thing, simply because you're going to do more harm to each other. You're going to become karmic, basically, if one of you or both of you did not get to activate enough gifts, did not get to develop abilities to work with their gifts, do not know enough spiritual fighting to actually protect themselves. You imagine that the divine masculine also has to protect his divine feminine. So he has to actually know freaking a lot in spiritual fighting, to be able to protect the couple, because once one of the two makes a mistake or betrays, then you lose the divine protection as a couple. And then you become karmic, because you go lower and lower and lower. So to me, it's a responsibility to make the right decision about the right timing of coming together. You must, for example, I personally foresee very easily situations in which a couple meant to be together might spend this entire lifetime breaking bondages and will come together in another lifetime. But you cleaned your bondage creation baggage, and you will come together prepared to actually be together. Otherwise, if you insist on coming together at the wrong time, you can, of course you can, nobody stops you, God gives free will to everyone, but keep in mind that you're going to be creating more bondages among you. You're going to transform your relation in a karmic relation, um, because you're going to be harming each other. It's going to be a toxic relation. There are going to be ups and downs. You're going to do some healing, I imagine, because you have gifts, but um, you also will harm each other because you didn't break the bondages. The bondages exist, and I explained in previous videos. Um, Once a parallel lifetime or timeline is activated, there are already people who are being sent into your life to do harm to you, and there's already fake embodiment created on you through darkness attacks to force you to become something that you're not. Okay. So I think it's a matter of responsibility. Really, I think it's a matter of responsibility always, to understand in which timing of your path you are, and if this is beneficial for anyone. I'll give you an example from even before I learned about conscious spiritual fighting. um, many years ago, I met an individual, through my work. I met an individual who insisted on creating some kind of connection between us. For me, it was clear from the start that we are very different, and I told him bluntly. I said, You know, if you want to have anything to do with me, these are the conditions under which I accept a relationship with a man. And namely, it was, of course, about fidelity, and about monogamy, and about certain principles of loyalty, and about the importance of love in a relation, which to me, a relationship between man and woman without love really has no purpose. No, I mean, it's just wasting your time and taking on energy which is not yours, and it doesn't serve you. So this man was very, I don't know how to say, very different in the way of living. At least from what he told me at the time, was clear to me still that he's, I don't know how to say, um, he has a very libertine kind of perception of life, and especially about what a couple should mean. A very loose kind of explanation about what a couple should mean. He had numerous relations, parallel relations with numerous people, actually. And I explained to him, I said, You don't come into my life like this. I'm sorry, I do not judge you, and I do not comment your style of living. It's not my place to do so. What I'm telling you, though, is that if you want to pursue any kind of connection with me, these are the conditions under which you can seek any type of connection with me. Otherwise, we're just simply acquaintances and colleagues. Period. We can meet to have coffees, but nothing more. Just to be very clear on this. So that was my discussion with him. Well, for the next 6 months, I think this individual insisted very aggressively to create a relation with me under his conditions. He was not willing to accept the terms I presented, but he was very eager to force me into his style of living, which I didn't accept, of course. So for 6 months, there was nothing between us. We would just have constant fights because he insisted upon enforcing his style of living on me. And I was, of course, resisting and rejecting all of his aggressions, verbal abuse, and so on. Until at some point, after a few months, I said, Okay, listen to me. uh, all it's over, because I gave chances to have a decent acquaintance, colleagues relation, but then he was only forcing me to go his way. He was not accepting that rejection, and it was not a rejection in itself. It was basically just standing my ground and having clear barriers and boundaries, what I want in my life, which is, I think, my full right, right? Well, you cannot imagine. So after that, after these 6 months, I understood finally that he's never going to accept my point of view. He's never going to just accept to be just a colleague or acquaintance. And he's always going to be aggressing me verbally into, and for trying to trick me and force me into a relationship which I do not accept. So then I ended all communication with this individual. I said, okay, since it's impossible for me to make him understand, I will not be bullied continually and mocked to be forced into something which I'm not willing to accept. Okay. And this was happening in 2014. You cannot imagine, this individual started a war against me based on these facts which I just detailed to you, and which it didn't stop even today. He started a war at me, and he would go after any individual that I would meet for years. And I keep saying it's happening even nowadays. So it's 7 years later, right? I broke any karmic cycle with this individual. This end of situational karmic cycle, he still doesn't stop. And he has been, and I didn't understand the spiritual dimension of this at the time. But I did see, even in 3D, that there were individuals who were coming towards me, just simply inviting me out for dinner or for coffee, just normal interaction, polite, respectful interaction. And he would actually beat them up. I'm like, literally, I'm telling you, I moved residency in a different uh, city area because of him. I cannot explain to you what he did. And at some point, I remember that I met an individual in 2017, and I told him from the beginning, I said, there is an individual who has a vendetta, revenge with me. There was nothing between me and him. There was no relationship between me and him. This individual refused my traditional way and uh, principles that I cherish for a relationship to develop. But then since then he started a vendetta. So I told this guy, please tell me, and if he's harming you, and please tell me if you're willing to um, try a relationship with me under these conditions, because I already know by now that he's gonna come after you. So I'm warning you from the beginning. I don't want to drag you into something which is not your fight, first of all. It shouldn't be my fight either, because I didn't do anything wrong. I just told him I don't accept his style of living, and now he keeps haunting me and tries to force me into his style of living, which I do not accept. Um, and anyhow, that individual, of course, was also um, um, basically aggressed by him, and he left. There were many individuals who left my life because of him, because of this crazy bastard. But then after some time, I started my spiritual, conscious spiritual fighting, also because of attacks who launched by this crazy individual on me, and groups of people that he made deals with to gang stalk me and so. But what I mean is that when I started my spiritual fighting consciously, God started revealing to me things, and God showed me this individual embodies, he took upon himself by his free will to embody certain forces from underworld. And this is why he he was so aggressively trying to force a relationship with me, which basically did not match the principles that I was holding, and I am holding still. So what I mean to say, by insisting to be with another man, if I would have insisted to be with another man in this time, I would have exposed that man to this. No, sorry, my voice is not helping me now. Um, I would have exposed that man to this type of attacks from this individual who is obviously determined to block my path of union. It's a bondage done on my union. He represents an entity which is fighting against my rights of marriage and union. Um, and it is not fair to the other one. And even if the other one is your divine masculine, it is not fair to expose that individual to some kind of attacks before that individual is prepared, before that individual activates the gifts he needs in order to be able to fight it off. So there is a special divine timing, if you want, when the two in a couple are ready truly to actually try to be together, because all divine unions will be under this kind of attacks. As I said, I learned in my spiritual journey that literally there are individuals, fallen angels, who decide to take upon them by their own free will entities, darkness, dark forces from outer cosmos, from underworld. They do worshipping to those forces, and essentially their attacks. These you start to understand them, because it really was madness. I couldn't understand anything before God revealed all of this to me. I was like, this is not normal. There was nothing between me and that individual. Has no right to interfere between me and some other people. He has no right to hunt me like this and to block all my paths. Um, Only when you do the spiritual fighting and you understand this type of bondage is created on your union, only then you can start to prepare yourself to become, to enter a union. And I keep saying, it might be that you spend the entire this lifetime to fight off all of these bondages and to gain enough knowledge and enough power so you can come together in a different lifetime. Because I gave you this example, I broke the bondage with this individual, although we were never a couple, never. I keep emphasizing this. He was just harassing me. We were never a couple, uh, and I still there was a karmic tie between us, and I broke it after 7 years. It took me 7 years so I can get from the karmic board um, this news that I finally broke it. But 7 years he's been torturing me. And this is again an individual with whom I was never in a relationship. Okay. He had absolutely no rights and no authority over me. And still he succeeded to do so much harm as I cannot explain. And again, it might be that you are able to understand the spiritual dimension and the type of significance of people present in your life, okay, only after you learn and you break bondages, after uh, you become aware and you develop the gifts and the power necessary to actually face this. And it might be that you must be on your own. And I had to be on my own for a long time, simply because he would have, I was seeing this with my own eyes. He was just destroying everyone that was coming next to me. He was just destroying any individual that would try even to come next to me. So I said that, although I didn't understand at the time the spiritual dimension of it, I said this. I said, it's better for me to be alone. I cannot take on my conscience the harm this individual is doing to other men. And these are innocent men. They were not even in love with me. We were just meeting for a coffee, just casual meeting, hanging out together, and still he would simply just harm them in a way in which I simply could not accept to take upon my conscience, to feel guilty for that, because he was doing it but sort of because of me, because he was actually hunting me. So he just wanted to make sure that if I'm not with him, I'm not with anybody else. Again, much later, in 2018, I when I started my spiritual fighting in a conscious manner, And I started receiving divine guidance, and explanation was the first time when I claimed justice, because God came and revealed this to me. And this is when I started learning, and I started understanding that instinctively made the right choices, because he was gonna destroy, either destroy them, or through them would have destroyed me in the end. So when you talk about divine couple, then I believe that you have to take in consideration the responsibility you have uh, to better restrain yourself from coming together, than to come together and become karmics one to another by doing harm upon each other, even if it's not your own doing, and it's not your own intention. But again, I show you, there are dark forces who work through other individuals, and who can actually inflict that harm upon you individually, and ultimately upon the couple. And keep in mind that if you create more karma and more bondage and more, when you incarnate again, you're going to have to start all over from the scratch, to do all the fighting. So this is not going to go away. This is why I think it's a responsible thing to just prefer to focus on spiritual fighting, on breaking bondages, on healing, and taking back all your gifts, taking the power back. So, and then you will see if it's possible in this lifetime to come together. Maybe not. And you must accept that if it's not possible for you to come together in this lifetime, but you leave this incarnation with a clean slate. You broke bondage, then you have a better chance to incarnate again, or to come into an embodiment through somebody else. So you create opportunities. The basic message that I'm sending now, it's about responsibility, first of all, higher perspective over what a couple divinely guided means, um, and and um, and also trying to point to the fact that there are many other options. You don't have to push it for coming together as a couple when you are not ready, because there are many other options in the future, even in this lifetime, where you can actually do work. But these bondages will not go away. So if you come together when you're not ready, you're just going to do more harm mutually. And this is not going to help anyone. You're going to have to start from the scratch anyhow afterwards. And you're going to add to that the harm you have done to each other by coming together at the wrong time. Okay? So I guess this is the message that I wanted to give now. God specifically wanted me to give you this example. I'm not keen. Actually, this is a torture that God does with me in since I started YouTube. He's forcing me to give examples from my personal life. I don't like to do that. But somehow God says that people sometimes don't understand. So, the description, but through an example, people will understand much better. And maybe some other people are facing similar situations like I have been facing with this individual. So maybe that truly helps. So I gave you this example. I hope it helps. I hope it shows that I'm not talking from a theoretical point of view. Yeah, this is what God is showing me now. He says, I asked you to give the example because everybody thought you're talking from a theoretical perspective only. No, I talk from experience. Thank you, God. So this is why he insisted on me giving this example. No, it's because I know. It's because I know. And I don't have enough space to talk about how much harm this individual has done to me and to anyone who came close to me. I really came to this realization many years ago. This is when I moved outside of the city. I literally sold my apartment, and I bought a house on the outskirts of the city to move away from the area, simply to meet other people. I thought, I'm changing the scenario. I'll meet other people. Somehow I thought, if my house is outside the city, he's not gonna know so many people around them there, and he's not gonna come to force his presence in my environment. Of course, That was a wrong assumption. He came actually, even where I moved, and he rallied everyone around me against me, and he created actually gang stalking groups in my neighborhood, and started attacks at me, and so on and so on. So I actually know better than you can imagine what it means actually to be confronted with aggression and attacks, in order to block your union with your divine counterpart. I experienced that for years and years and years before even I started the conscious spiritual fighting, before God showed me all of this. What God showed me was only confirmation, and He revealed to me the spiritual dimension. But otherwise, the dynamic of it, I understood it before. I understood it before I moved outside of the city. So I understood exactly that he was already controlling everyone around me, my coworkers, people in my office, people at the building where I was living, the doorman. He had recruited everyone around me. I was like, this is madness. I'm not going to live like this. I'm not going to be a prisoner to this individual. This is crazy. There was nothing between us. It's not even like we were ever a couple. I gave him, I said, I don't feel guilty for anything. I gave him the chance to be a couple, which is much more than most people receive from me. Okay? So I said to him, I'm giving you the opportunity to become a couple with me, but under these conditions. I simply don't live like you. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, fine. I don't assume this style of living, period. It's not me. I'm not going to do it. That's all. Um, and I never actually made any comments about his style of living. I actually told him, look, I'm not judging you. You do whatever you want. What I'm saying is that I don't accept that you enforce that upon me. Okay. And of course, that made no difference. He still made all possible to enforce that upon me. And if not, at least to take revenge, I don't know what for. But then I understood. So the dynamic, the toxic dynamic, um, of this interaction was clear to me, became clear very soon. This is why I sold my apartment and I moved outside the city, because I wanted to be away from an environment which he succeeded very shortly to actually control totally around me. So I moved on the outskirts of the city. I bought the house, and very, in just few months, he succeeded, even less. He succeeded to recreate the same situation where I moved. So then it became clear to me that it really doesn't help me to move from one place to another, because he's going to be haunting me again. And so this is why God asked me to give you this example, because as God's shown me now, it seems like many of you think that the advice I'm giving about focusing on spiritual fighting, it comes only from a theoretical perspective. No, no, no. It comes from a hands-on experience of how much harm and damage can some crazy bastard do upon you and individuals coming into your life, um, when there is a bondage created, and that man took as a mission to destroy you, or any union that you would try to have, most specifically the divinely guided union. Yeah. So yeah, I hope this helps and clarifies any kind of confusion that I created with previous videos. I didn't know why God insists on me giving this example now. I know. I hope you understand that this is a hands-on experience, and this has been confirmed to me by God when I started the spiritual fighting, when He actually explained to me what type of forces are behind all of this. Um, and of course, I've been fighting since then, and I successfully broke all karmic ties and all bondages this individual has created on me, in other lifetimes and in this lifetime. So he's still attacking even as we speak, but God is telling me that the divine justice and judgment is unfolding, and soon he won't be able to harm me anymore. Um, Now, I hope this helps everyone, and I hope you understand what I said before, that all the information that I'm sharing comes from hands-on experience. in my own spiritual fighting, which I have done because of darkness coming up at me. I haven't been, and I'm not still, I think, the type of individual who's um, passionate about exploring all these astral things. I only had a very close connection, or mystic connection, with the divine realm, and I only started consciously focusing on spiritual fighting in recent years, particularly since 2018, after a surprise attack was mounted against me in my own house. So I also don't want you to believe that I'm some chick very enthusiastically talking about spiritual fighting. No, I'm talking from the perspective of a woman who actually started fighting to defend herself. And I learned a lot in my spiritual fight, and I simply want other people to benefit of this knowledge, simply because when I went through all these fights, I needed someone to tell me how to get out of it. And of course, I had divine guidance, and I'm grateful for that. This is why I won the battles and the war. But I must tell you that many times divine guidance is difficult to understand. And many times in my prayers, I say, please tell me to the level of my understanding. Because many times God has shown me, or Jesus has shown me, we showed you this. And I was like, yeah, who the fuck understood what you meant by that? I didn't know this is what it means, you know? So and of course, I had to go through horrible situations each and every time when I couldn't understand some divine guidance. This is why I'm sharing the knowledge I gained in my spiritual fighting, because me being here in 3D is much easier. Style. Sorry, this is my dog. Me being here in 3D, it's much easier for me to find an explanation which is maybe closer to you than divine guidance, which sometimes can seem abstract to us and difficult to understand. Okay, I'm gonna stop here because this is the longest video I made. So I've been talking about responsibility and the proper timing in coming together for a divine couple, and your responsibility to make sure that you don't rush and you don't expose the other at dangers which you yourself cannot face. So you don't bring upon yourself more or mutually or individually more harm and more bondages and more toxicity. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel so we can take the information I share, the knowledge I share, to as many people as possible.